Good evening. Welcome back to the Fireside. Tonight's story is about bitterness, family wounds, and a powerful truth that sometimes helping the person who hurt you the most becomes the very act that changes everything. It's a story from the 1970s, filled with tension, heartbreak, and the kind of ending that lingers in your chest. This is The Old Key on Oak Street. It was the spring of 1973 in Savannah, Georgia. The air smelled of salt and jasmine, and the moss hung heavy from the oaks. On the quiet end of Oak Street lived 29-year-old Janice. She was a nurse, working double shifts at Memorial Hospital, known for her steady hands and even steadier heart. But Janice didn't always have a heart that opened. You see, when she was 16, her mother passed unexpectedly. Her father, already gone since she was 4, left no trace. The only family she had left was her uncle Leonard, her mother's older brother. Leonard lived just 20 miles away in Garden City. But when Janice needed him most, when she stood trembling in a black dress at the cemetery, he never showed. Not that day or the next. No letter, no call, nothing. She lived those next years, bouncing between neighbors and part-time work, finishing school with scraped-up shoes and a stomach that learned how to ignore hunger. She worked nights at a corner diner, served coffee to strangers with calloused hands, and learned to count change and dodge unwanted attention. And Leonard, he kept on living in his 2-story house with a Cadillac in the driveway, raising no kids and never visiting. Janice buried him in the past. Until one afternoon, in June of 1973, she came home from the hospital and found a letter taped to her door. It was handwritten, shaky. "Janice, it's Leonard. I need help, please. 204 Garden Terrace. L. She nearly tossed it in the trash. But something, maybe her mother's whisper, urged her to go. She drove the next morning. Leonard's house had changed. Paint peeled from the shutters. The lawn was high. A broken porch step threatened her ankle. Curtains hung like tired eyelids, and the air felt weighed down. She knocked. No answer. She pushed the door open. Inside, the smell of rot and dust choked her breath. The wallpaper curled at the corners, and dishes sat stacked from weeks of neglect. And there he was, Uncle Leonard, sitting in an armchair, his body thinner, his skin pale, a cane beside him. "Didn't think you'd come," he said, voice like rusted hinges. Janice didn't reply. "I got cancer," he muttered. "Pancreas. Doc says I don't have much time." Still, she said nothing. He looked at her. "I deserve your silence. I was a coward. Couldn't face you after your mama passed. I was ashamed. And then too proud to admit it." Silence again. Then Janice said, "Do you have someone to help?" He shook his head. So she sighed, took off her jacket, rolled up her sleeves. The next 6 months changed them both. She cleaned, cooked, changed his bandages, managed his meds, called his doctor, filled prescriptions, sat through nights when he coughed so hard he wept. She mopped his floor, scrubbed his bathroom, and let the old house breathe again. They found laughter again in the old jazz records he still played on his dusty turntable. Sometimes they ate boiled peanuts on the porch. He'd tell her about growing up with her mother, how they used to fish down by the Savannah River, how her mother once chased a bull just to prove a dare. Janice heard stories she had never known, of a brother who was protective, who once saved her mother from drowning in a flooded creek, who danced with her at county fairs. One day in November, as the leaves began to fall, Leonard said something strange. "There's a key in my desk drawer. Bottom one. Don't open it till I'm gone." Janice rolled her eyes. "This isn't a movie, Leonard." He smiled. "No, it's worse. It's real life." He passed 2 weeks later. No funeral guests, no church service, just Janice and the wind. She buried him quietly, no flowers, no eulogy, but she placed a small photo of her mother beside him in the casket. Back at the house, she remembered the drawer, opened it. Inside was an old brass key and an envelope for when the past becomes too heavy. There was also a deed. The key was to a property on Tybee Island. She drove there, unsure what to expect. The cottage was small but beautiful. White shutters, blue trim, a rocking chair still swayed in the sea breeze. Sea oats waved behind a weathered fence. Inside, everything was spotless. Fresh sheets, dishes clean. On the table sat a photo. Her mother and Leonard, kids, grinning, their arms around each other. A note behind the frame. "I bought this place the year your mama died. Wanted to give it to you, but couldn't face the shame. I was going to sell it, but I kept it, in case you ever forgave me, in case I ever found the courage to ask." Janice wept. She didn't move in right away. First, she returned to Leonard's house. She packed his things, donated what she could, cleaned the walls, and closed the door gently. Then, she made the cottage her home. Years later, Janice still lived in that cottage. She became a familiar face on Tybee Island, worked part-time at the local clinic, raised her own daughter there, taught her how to swim in the waves, how to bake sweet bread, and how to forgive. People asked her why she always left the porch light on, even in summer. She'd smile, in case someone's coming home. Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. Tonight's story reminds us that even the most broken relationships can hold something beautiful. Sometimes, helping the person who let you down is the very thing that lifts you up. Don't wait to make peace. Even a small act of kindness can echo for generations. If you're holding on to anger, consider letting go. And if someone's porch light is still on, go home.